there, Lauren from the Cotton Patch here, and this is our first Saturday block of the month recap. It is, I believe, the 3rd, so early in the month this month, sorry. Got a lot different things to show you, as well as the first 2 blocks of this Star Cycle block of the month behind me that you've heard me talk about before, so let's get started. First off, I want to show a few samples that we will have new in store here, as well as the patterns that go with them. So this is the first one we've made here. This is Pirate's Booty by Nellie's Needle. So you'll see that hanging up in the store now. Something that's really cool about this quilt is we did use the fusible glitters that we have out in the store now to do all the shiny parts that you see in the quilt. They are super easy to use if you're an applicator. These are a total game changer because you can add a little bit of sparkle into your quilts without having to worry about gumming up your needle or messing up your iron. The instructions are really, really clear. I was really rough on these things when I went to use them. I can tell you that they appliqued like a dream. They did not gum up my needle. They quilted beautifully, and I really got in there and rubbed them together, and that glitter did not come out. So that is a cool thing about this quilt here. We also, if you did our block of the week early last year, late 2019, then you'll remember this one here. This is Cats. This was so popular, we decided that we wanted to go ahead and do it as a standalone pattern. So we have gone ahead and done that. So you'll see the quilt back in store. So if you missed out the first time, this is your chance to do the quilt again. So next up we have Whimsy. We bought this entire line, the whole thing. So everything you see here, it will be in store coming soon. So this again is Whimsy by P&B. It's one of their basic lines. And what's so awesome about this line is that for a long time we haven't seen small tonal prints come into the store or even be available, and these are just fantastic, and we've got every color coming, and they are just very, very nice, small scale, great for backgrounds, great for applique. They'd be beautiful backings, backgrounds, the whole 9. So look for Whimsy coming soon. Next up, we have Canyon Creek from Northcott, and trying to get the whole thing in frame here, we'll pop up a picture, but this is a really beautiful low volume rustic line. You see here a lot of wood texture, kind of a Southwest flavor, and you got your wild animals there. What I really enjoy about this one is just that little bit of mauve in it. And I'm a big fan of gray as a neutral, so for me this is really wonderful. But there's that guy. If you or someone in your life likes North American big animals, this is a good one for you. It's probably a little bit hard to tell, but it's got a really subtle kind of tree ring print in the background, which is pretty cool. I love this mauve. This mauve is really, really great. I see this as being a background. It could be something else entirely, whatever you want it to be. We've got this chevron here. I see this being a really great binding, but you could do all kinds of things with it. I really like that little shot of maroon in there too. But this one is probably one of my favorites, the tree rings here. And you can kind of see there's like little planks of wood as well. So that's, I don't know, that's a good useful one too. So last time we talked about these wovens. I don't know if you remember from the last video, but we've got all of the warp and weft in all of the colors. We have ordered the holiday ones as well. So it's not just Christmas. There's other holidays there too, but there is Christmas. But one of the things that we've been getting asked is, gosh, these are really pretty, but how do I use them? You can absolutely incorporate wovens in with your regular cottons, and I'll show you that here towards the end. I've got a woven that I've used. But one of the key things that really helps when you use a woven is using starch. And I mean, you can use your best press, you can use really whatever you want to use. I know I've got a bottle of the Niagara starch that you just get at the grocery store. Mom gets the liquid starch and does, I think, was it one part starch to 2 parts water, I think. You'll have to ask her. I'm pretty sure that that's how she does her liquid starch. But it really, really helps with these wovens, and they'll sew up just fine with other cottons. So they are totally combinable, totally usable. But look for more colors coming soon. This is Mend by Michael Miller, and is one of the more, I guess, timely pieces, just for, you know, everything that's going on, whatever your leaning is, you know, but it's got some really great pieces in it. I love this blue. I can see that being great for a lot of stuff. It also comes in a smaller panel here. Great for pillows, placemats. You can do whatever you want with it, really. And then it's got this great red stripe as well. So that's Mend by Michael Miller. This is Dinosaur Friends by In the Beginning, and this is, of course, Mr. Jason Yenter, who always gets us into all kinds of trouble with his fabric. These are your more friendly dinosaurs here, and so if that's something that you like a little bit more than the toothy ones, like the ones I like, then this is a good one for you. Also, it's a really good example of how watercolor is getting to be really popular as a style in fabrics here in the coming months. We've been seeing a lot of it. It's got your dots here, and there's some little dinosaurs and their eggs, which are pretty cute. And then we've got the all over here. And I mean, your T-Rex is a little toothy, but he's not too scary. And then might be a little bit hard to see on camera, but it's a very, very light tan with a white dinosaur print on it. They're just kind of generic shapes, but that'd be a great background. Actually, this is the same print, just in a more bold colorway. So what I just showed on that light fabric, it's this print, just lighter. I really like this kind of mosaic-y tile braid situation here. I could see this going with a lot of stuff. I actually think this is very fallish, so I would probably use it in something for fall. One of the things that you're going to see coming up a lot more are digital prints. I know you've heard about them before, but this is definitely something that's coming more and more to the forefront. And the line that I just showed you is a digital print. And one of the key differences between a digital print and a screen print, I'll try and show you here. Sorry, it's a little bit messy, but you see how this has a lot of black coming through on the other side of the wrong side of the fabric. I mean, this is just a solid black, but you see it very strongly on the back side of the fabric. This is a digital print. And I mean, yes, you can see some of the design coming through the other side, but it's very, very white by comparison. Even though there's a lot of color going on the front, it's still very, very white on the back side. And the reason for that is this is done using screens and ink, which that ink will bleed through onto the back. That's totally normal. But with digital prints, for all intents and purposes, it's like running the fabric through the printer. The design is actually printed on the very top of the fabric. That's why you don't see a whole lot of that showing through. So digital prints are color fast. They do go through heat setting and everything, so they are color fast. The only thing that we've really been noticing with the digital prints versus the regular screen prints is that sometimes when you're doing your top quilting, you'll get a little bit of a white thread pickup if you've got like a burr or something in your needle. That's a little bit more typical with the digital prints. However, they wash up just fine. I haven't had any of them bleed on me. They don't really fade, at least the ones that I've used and washed, so they're good to go, and you're going to see a lot more of that coming. This one might be a little bit hard to catch on camera. It is very, very soft. But this is Deco Stitch by Art Gallery. We are going to be getting this whole line. We've already gotten several of the neutrals, the gray, the taupe, the cream. This is, it's a very, very light cream, and just in case the camera's not picking up, there's a very soft tan and a very soft gray on here. Next week, we will be getting a little bit more of it, but in actual colors. I'm not totally sure which colors are coming, but they're coming. And so again, another trend that you're seeing is modern prints kind of working themselves into a traditional. And I know sometimes people get really turned off when you say modern fabrics, modern quilting. But it's important to remember that a lot of these modern motifs are just a new spin on traditional patterns. So a lot of the modern quilts that you see are often very old quilt blocks, just kind of retooled, and what makes them more modern is maybe the size has been tweaked, maybe the colorway is different, maybe they've added a couple different design elements that make it a little bit more current. But there's nothing to be worried about incorporating with your traditional prints. This would be a really beautiful background on a traditional quilt. I could see this being a beautiful background for like a feathered star or any other star. It's just a really nice, good basic. So another popular thing that is out in the world right now is plaid. Plaid is in, and we got all of the colors in this one. I believe this is Riley Blake. No, Henry Glass, sorry. It's Henry Glass. I only brought in a couple colors. We've got red, we've got orange, we've got this blue, we've got gray. But what's cool is this is already on point. You don't need to do bias with this to get the plaid to show up like this, unless you, of course, are doing something like scallops or whatnot that requires a bias. Another popular thing here are these, what we're calling organic dots. So the dots themselves, as you can see, look like they've been just plopped on like with a paintbrush or with a pencil. They're not uniform dots. They're a little bit wonky shaped, and also they're not in a linear or grid pattern. They're just kind of all over the place. We just got this one because it's a great, just all around dot, be great on a kid's quilt, great backing. So what's coming next? So in the coming weeks, you will see more fossil fern in store. We have 37 bolts of fossil fern coming. You've seen fossil fern carried here before. This is partially replenishment and partially some new colors that we didn't have before. So look for those. We're really focusing on keeping that blender wall really fleshed out. That's something that's really important to us, so we're keeping it full with those coming soon. You'll also notice that we no longer have Minky out. We made the decision to go ahead and clearance that out. So if you want Minky, it is on clearance now. So if you want Minky, it is on clearance now. The prices are as marked. They're all a little bit different, but we will no longer be carrying Minky. Part of that is really because we can't compete with the big guys on it. We can't compete with Craft Warehouse and Joann's when they're constantly putting it on sale. So we've decided to shift our focus to just really focusing in on those wide backs. We've got a bunch of different flannel wide backs coming here in the next couple months. We have some beautiful Banyan Batik wide backs coming in June and July, and you'll see just a lot more of those coming in store. So stay tuned for that. Another thing that's coming soon, and I caveat with this is being tentative. Of course, we are still living in the times of COVID, so things can change. But tentatively, the State Fair is on. As of right now, April 3rd. We will find out more in the coming weeks and months as to whether or not we will actually have an in-person State Fair. However, Mom is back on that board for the quilt walk. So she will be doing just like she did before. Many of you have been bugged to just your wits end to put your quilts in the fair, and we are back at it. It is so important to keep our quilts present in the fair and represented, and so we are back at that. Stay tuned for more information. We will let you know about any kind of changes because of COVID, etc. But a few of the goals that she's got is to look a little bit more closely at judging criteria to make sure that we're staying good and encouraging and giving good constructive feedback on the quilts that come in, and just making sure that people want to put quilts in. And so making sure that the quilt walk is safe when people are walking through, making sure that the quilts stay safe and cataloged so that everybody gets their quilts back in exactly the condition that they brought them in. You know, that is very, very, very important to us. So that is something that we absolutely still commit to. So stay tuned and think about putting in your quilts at the state fair this year. So last of all, the whole reason we're all here, right, is this quilt behind me here, Star Cycle. So this is the first month. So we are doing blocks 1 and 2. So block 1 is up there in the corner. It's got the little checkerboards in it, and then this is block 2. If you chose to do our colorway, so this red colorway, along with your patterns, you received a color key. So make sure you've got that here. If you are doing the scrappy way, you got a blank version of this so that you can fill in with your own colors or whatever you want to do. So I realize it's a little hard to see here, so I'm going to show you those 2 blocks. As promised, I said I would be doing the block of the month with everybody. So I'm good to my word. So here is my block 1. So you can see, for those who didn't see the first video, I decided to go low volume. So very low contrast. And so this is block 1 here. I went with my scraps here. All of my blocks will have this gray background, but you see in the quilt here, all of the blocks have this kind of creamy white. And then here's my block 2. So pretty easy. Nothing in here is any more difficult than a flying geese block. So it's something you've all done before if you're doing the program. But I want to circle back to something I talked about earlier about wovens and incorporating those in with cottons and how to treat those. So my 2 plaids right here are both wovens. I just made sure that I starched them, and they sewed in just fine. I had no problem. Back looks fine. That's all good. So feel free to incorporate your wovens in with your regular cottons. So that's all I have for this month. I hope you're able to join us next month. Again, class is on the first Friday and first Saturday of the month. Classes at 10:30. It is social distance. If you are not able to attend or don't quite feel comfortable attending in person, stay tuned for these videos in the week after class. And if you're participating in the program, you can come in at any point after the first Friday of the month to pick up your fabric kit if you're doing this colorway, or your patterns if you're doing the scrappy way. But thank you so much for spending your time with me, and we'll see you soon.